Hello guys and welcome to the first instalment of the Transfer Talk series, which will be a regular occurrence. However, I'm happy to be joined with Brad Cox, who's a journalist. You do all sorts of Premier League news. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm alright, thank you, Robbie. How about you?
Oh yeah, I'm great. I'm happy to be sitting here with a journalist, who knows details about United and hopefully can shed a light on some questions asked by you guys previously. And a long-term supporter of this channel, Akash, is here. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Robbie. Thanks for having me on. Would love to discuss transfers with all of you. Cheers.
Yeah, and Akash, obviously you'll be a regular guest. Every second Sunday, you'll be joining us to round up your transfer thread, the update daily, and you give a reliability of the source, which Ahmed, who will usually be the host of this series, will break down almost every day. So we're excited to get that going. But first of all, I'd like to ask Akash about the Sancho rumour, because obviously seen on your transfer thread that it would possibly happen after the Euros. Has there been any change on that over time, or do you think it will happen in the next week?
To be honest, Robbie, I think the situation has, changed in the last couple of days. I did feel that United's approach would be kind of similar to last season. And when I say that, I mean that I thought they will take their time into this window and negotiate a price with Dortmund. And that generally does take a lot of time because United don't like to be rushed into deals. I think we've seen that with a couple of transfers before. But I think with a new team in place in the transfer department, it does seem like United are taking a lot of initiative. They are acting not just on one deal at one time. They seem to be approaching multiple deals, which seems to be a positive change. Which I might add, I feel the Sancho deal is such that I think even if we sign Sancho, the excitement has died down a little, considering that it's been stretched out for a couple of seasons now. But I think it's about time United get this deal done. With regards to whether it will happen before the Euros or after the Euros, I do feel that reports in Germany are stating that I think it was Sport One which reported that Manchester United have entered into official communication with Borussia Dortmund regarding the price and the possible sale of Jadon Sancho to Manchester United. So I think all the parties are extremely interested in this transfer happening. It's all about finding some common ground, and then talks generally accelerate from that. So I'm hopeful that there can be some sort of agreement in principle and followed by medical that can either happen in the England camp or maybe after the Euros. But it's just about securing this deal. I think that's the major objective here.
And Akash, how much? Just a wee quick question on the side. How much do you think will be on the deal? How much money? Because obviously last year it looked as if it's going to be over 100 million euros. What do you think will happen this year in terms of the actual price tag on the deal?
To be honest, I think obviously Borussia Dortmund were extremely adamant last season with regards to Jadon Sancho's price. It was like literally 120 million or nothing, and they wanted a fee which was extremely high for considering that it was the year when COVID hit. Clubs were financially impacted. They are still financially impacted, but as you can see, football is recovering. Fans are returning, so there's a lot of positivity which has come around. I think that's why United will be eager to conclude this deal because it's likely to cost them less, and I think they will finally see.
Yeah. So, Brad, I'm going to move on to you, mate. I'd love to hear, obviously, about Tom Heaton because he's basically a Man United player, and I just want to hear, obviously, what role do you think he'll have in the squad? Do you think he'll be fighting for the first team, or do you think he'll be happy with a second in line?
Well, it looks as though the Heaton deal is pretty much done. Everything's complete. It's just waiting for an official announcement now. which you can probably expect to happen late June, because I think that's when the transfer can actually go through. And obviously with Sergio Romero departing and Lee Grant potentially becoming signing a coach sort of role or an extension, you could probably see Tom Heaton trying to contest for the role on the bench, or what people have called that second goalkeeping position role this year as the cup competition goalkeeper. Maybe that is something that will be interested if David De Gea or Dean Henderson end up leaving the club this summer. I think Heaton will be challenging. Will want to challenge for the starting role, but whether he actually gets it is another question. But the transfer is looking all but done at the minute.
Yeah, it does look pretty much finished. I mean, I've not heard much about it, but do you think that David De Gea will possibly move? Because I can't imagine Dean Henderson moving on over the summer. I mean, David De Gea probably wouldn't even start for Spain in the Euros. So I do believe that he could possibly move on. That's just a complete guess. And we'll probably try and nurture and move on Dean Henderson to be the first choice keeper.
If De Gea does move on, it will be one of those departures that Man United fans will feel maybe a sense of relief for some, but some will be absolutely devastated. Some really don't believe that David De Gea is past his time. Some believe that he should still be the starting goalkeeper for Manchester United this season and going into next season. But you've got to remember, when people say Dean Henderson's not ready to take the full-time position as number one at Old Trafford, De Gea wasn't ready back in 2012, 2013. He was not ready for it. But, Ferguson and Moyes both put their trust into him. And then under Van Gaal and Mourinho, you saw his what people are calling his best years. And that comes by giving him trust. So maybe that's probably a similar situation that has to happen to Henderson in the next few years, because you don't want to. Goalkeepers play off confidence. They play off confidence, and when they get that game time, confidence skyrockets. You've seen it in Henderson when he was given a chance to play 6 Premier League games in a row. You saw him getting better. Yeah, you saw him make a few mistakes. That like the one against AC Milan, and his positioning against Mohamed Salah in the Liverpool game was very, very poor. But De Gea made some terrible mistakes in his youth. And you've got to think that Henderson's already had a season in the Premier League, so he's already found out some of those mistakes. But whether one of them will leave this summer, I'm not too sure. But if it was to be one of them, I would guess it would be David De Gea, mainly because of Dean Henderson's age, and he loves Manchester United. There's the famous picture of him and Marcus Rashford celebrating on Rashford's debut against Midtjylland when he scored. So that's the person I would expect to leave, and then Heaton to come in as the number 2.
Yeah, and Akash, we're going to move on to one of the players who I absolutely love to have at United, and it's Rafa Varane. I know he's obviously not in the French league. However, he is obviously a French player who, should be starting in the Euros, been one of Real Madrid's best players for several years now. I just want to hear, basically, is it like half the deal? Because, obviously I've seen it a lot on the news at the moment. I just like you, elaborate on it and tell me if you think the deal could possibly go ahead.
To be very honest, I think Varane is such a player, and it's difficult to predict his future because there's still no concrete reports about his future. He's still not committed himself to Madrid. I think that was majorly due to the managerial situation at Madrid. But now that's resolved, I think Madrid will obviously sit down with Varane and obviously try to extend his contract. I do feel that there's still a possibility that he could stay at Madrid, because I think that would be a safer option for him. But if he does decide to leave, I think Manchester United will be right there in the queue to steal him and price him away, because I think he'll be available for a good 45-50 million deal, and that's likely to be sanctioned if Manchester United can obviously invest their funds in an attacking player first, and I think then they can go ahead and sign a centre back. So I don't think United will be rushing on the Varane front a lot. They'll want to see what the situation is like, because as several reports have stated, Pau Torres, Jules Koundé, there are other players who have been linked to Manchester United as well. So I do feel that Varane is the primary target for the position, but it is unlikely that United will rush on the centre back front, especially with Varane being the primary target. So I think that's something that could happen post the Euros. I think United might go for Sancho and Trippier first.
Okay, thanks very much, Akash, for the roundup on Varane. I would absolutely love Varane to come to United. He's up there with one of the best in the world at centre half. But an upcoming talent, Premier League proven, Jack Grealish. I've seen his name everywhere. Is he going to start for England? Is he going to move this summer? Brad, I'd love to know. What's your views on Jack Grealish? Do you think he will leave Aston Villa to possibly move to United? I'd absolutely love him as well. I'm getting greedy, but I'd take anything at the moment.
Well, I think the thing is with Jack Grealish is that the deal last year was looking so much closer for him to come to Manchester United. But then they ended up avoiding the drop down to the Championship, which ultimately ended all hopes for Grealish's move to Manchester. And whether he ends up on the red half of Manchester or blue half of Manchester will ultimately be decided, or whether he goes down south is another suggestion. Chelsea are very interested in him as well, but at the minute I do not think he will be leaving Aston Villa this summer. They've seen the quality that he produces, and they know how much he is worth. They know what he's truly worth, and the latest figure to come out of Villa is around 120 million plus for Jack Grealish. That's a steep sum for him, but you pay a bit of the English fee, you pay for the Premier League knowledge, the Premier League proven capabilities that Jack Grealish has. I don't think he'll be leaving Aston Villa anytime soon, especially for this summer. That's not to say he's going to stay a villain forever, but like you said, he's wanted by many, and I do believe that last year it was on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priority list to get Jack Grealish if he went down, if they got relegated to the Championship, and ultimately it didn't happen. They stayed up, and United had to settle for Donny van de Beek, and everyone knows how that signing's panned out.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask both you guys about this question in the comment section, and it's basically, sorry, the wrong question, and it's about there's so many coming through, sorry, and it is about what are the alternatives of Kieran Trippier. Do you believe? Obviously, Akash, I'll start off with you, mate. You have said that Trippier will be number one. Do you think we could possibly move elsewhere, try and look for a different right back, or do you think it'll be Kieran Trippier or no one?
I think it was the Athletic which reported interest in Trippier, that United are looking seriously and have already started negotiations with Atletico Madrid for Trippier. I do feel that he is the primary target for that position, but it is also likely that they could be looking at Max Aarons as well. That's a player I think United might be interested in. I think he offers a good backup to Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka has started so many games as a player, as Manchester United player, that he needs to have some competition. We saw what Alex Telles did to Luke Shaw. I think that's what we need, a similar push for Wan-Bissaka. At United, I think Solskjaer has made it clear that he wants competition for multiple positions, and he will not settle for a player just there's no divine right to start for Manchester United. I think De Gea is facing that situation now. Martial is facing that situation now. So I think it's about time Van Bissaka does as well, and it's in a positive way. I think pushing for places is a good thing. I think Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool all have strong squads, and it's about time Manchester United did as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Trippier's by far obviously the outright guy's backup to Wan-Bissaka. He plays a completely different role at right back, and he's got a lot of qualities which would benefit the team well. Brad, have you got anything to add to that about Trippier? Do you think it is likely to happen, the deal?
I think Trippier's deal is more likely to happen than Max Aaron's, mainly because of not only the price, but Max Aaron's probably doesn't want to be at his age in his career, doesn't want to be backup. He knows that teams are interested in him, and they would be interested to have him as a starting right back, not a right back to put some competition on an already very good right back in the Premier League. And Trippier, he's what is it, about 30 years old. He definitely suits the experience that Solskjaer wants. Doesn't quite fit into the category that United have put on their transfer market tactics. They want people in the 23 to 28 age group, and Trippier just falls out of that. I'm pretty sure he's just over 28, might be 29, 30. And he doesn't suit that tactic, but they do want experience, similar to Alex Telles last year, and everyone saw the impact that had on Luke Shaw. Solskjaer did say nothing to do with competition. Having Shaw's resurgence was nothing to do with Telles. It was all about himself, all about Shaw doing the right things. But you've got to think having someone behind you ready to take your position is obviously going to do wonders for your performance, because you either rise to the occasion or you don't, which is kind of similar to what I believe has happened to Anthony Martial this year. Last season he had no one competing for him, the striker role, and he loved that. And he loved that he was the only striker in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's mind. But his form slipped. Cavani came in and started scoring, and then Martial's confidence went down the drain a bit before his injury, which is the exact same scenario he found himself in when Ibrahimovic came. So, it works for some players, but on the other hand, it doesn't.
Yeah, and Brad, I'm going to stick with you at the moment, and possibly Akash, you can elaborate on it. There's a few comments about Declan Rice. There hasn't been a lot of speculation about Rice. There's two comments here that I can see at the moment, and for me, I need to agree with them. I think we desperately need a defensive mid, and for me, obviously, Declan Rice would be my number one target at that position. What would you say, mate, we should do? What do you think are the chances in Man United actually getting Declan Rice in this window? Because personally, I think myself and most of the Man United supporters would love to have him on board for the Champions League next season.
Is that one for me or Akash?
Yeah, it's for you, mate. Yeah, and then I'll move on to Akash and get his opinion on it as well.
Yeah, I think Rice is definitely the centre defensive midfielder that both Manchester United and Manchester United fans want. And there aren't too many names out there that can do a job like Declan Rice, and I think West Ham understand that as well, which is why they value him so highly, and especially because of they've got a European campaign to look forward to, and Declan Rice has been a part of building that at West Ham with David Moyes, and you got to think of players as well, like they can want to do well with the club that they've progressed with. He might want to stay at West Ham for another season, see how it goes, experience the Hammers in Europe. And Bissouma is a player like that comment says. Bissouma is someone else that has been looked at by lots of fans that would maybe want to have Bissouma in front of him. And I think almost personally, as watching Manchester United over the past season or two, the issue of people screaming out for a centre back comes from them being isolated in front of them. When you've got Scott McTominay and Fred, sometimes they do leave too much spacing behind them, which makes Lindelof and Maguire not look so sturdy. So whether you want to fix this, maybe it's not always Maguire or Lindelof's fault, as it sometimes looks a lot of the time. But if you go back maybe 10, 15 seconds earlier to the goal, it comes from the midfield. Plenty of times United have conceded from good build-up play in the midfield, and Scott McTominay and Fred haven't won the ball in that area. So maybe that's the change that needs to happen. They need to prioritise a CDM instead of a centre-back. Obviously, United fans would want both, but you probably can't have a world-class CDM, a world-class centre-back, and then Jadon Sancho in one transfer window during a global pandemic. It's probably not available.
Yeah, it'd be very expensive, and I need to agree with you. I think it'll probably be two of them that will come in at that price range at the very most. But yeah, I mean, you've got your supporters in the comments, guys. And Akash, I'd love to hear, what do you think about the defensive mid role? Because I think it's very clear it needs to get worked upon, and we need to bring someone in. So do you believe that Declan Rice, could actually move to United this year, or do you think he'll stay at West Ham possibly, as Brad said, in the Europa League, which is obviously a massive thing for him?
Right. I think I'm going to go for a different opinion, and I think that he's likely to go to Chelsea. The reason why I do feel that Chelsea might, reignite their interest in him is because, firstly, I think he has a boyhood attachment to the club. And to get and I think that with players, I think Chelsea have a lot of players who wish to leave this summer, and I think if West Ham do want a sale for Declan Rice, they might look at some of the Chelsea players who might wish to leave. I think Tammy Abraham might, be involved in some kind of swap. I think Chelsea will offer all kinds of players in order to reduce the massive price tag that Declan Rice has. I think with regards to United, obviously, I do think they'll be interested in Declan Rice. I think Jesse Lingard's future will obviously bring up Declan Rice in any conversation. I think if Manchester United are serious about getting in a defensive midfielder, but I think United can't be spending too much on too many positions. Like Brad rightly mentioned, that it's a pandemic year, you cannot be investing or huge money in all the positions. So I think United are going to be spending a lot on the attacking positions, and then it just goes on how wisely they sell this summer. I think it's gonna take a lot of money to sign Declan Rice. I don't think it's gonna happen. It's one of those transfers where you think it falls in the Harry Kane category, that it's too expensive. The deal's too expensive to happen, for it to happen this summer. So I think, personally, I think Declan Rice is not on the cards. I was absolutely gutted that, United didn't go for Thomas Partey, because I think that's exactly kind of player they should have, looked at, because he had so much to offer, and it was kind of a surprise seeing him join Arsenal and their season collapse. And it just feels even worse seeing him in such a tough situation, because Arsenal are not doing well, and he could have done so much better at United. Obviously, another player being linked was Bissouma. I think all the top 6 clubs are looking at Bissouma. I think he's had a brilliant season with Brighton. We need to see, if it will be tough to see Bissouma going elsewhere, because he has so much to offer at such a age. And I think United, if they do want to invest in a midfielder, I think that's one which they can definitely look forward to.
Yeah, and I mean, we're probably just going to move away for a few minutes and talk about, when we were playing in the Europa League final, which was, heartbreaking for a United fan to watch. But, I'm trying to look at it in the bigger perspective and think, Brad, do you believe that now the fact that we've lost in the final, do you think that will impact our movement in the summer window? Do you believe that will make more changes to the squad over this period of time compared to possibly, if we beat Villarreal in the final? Do you think less coming and goings would take place?
Well, I think it was said before the final that no matter what the result, Manchester United Solskjaer was looking for 3 to 4 signings this summer. I think they really started to realise the squad depth issue when they saw Anthony Martial get injured, then Rashford playing 60 games, then the Maguire injury came. There's only so many games that these players can play. And with the season being so cramped and, United getting far in nearly every competition this year, these players are eventually just getting themselves worn out. I mean, I'm shocked that Bruno Fernandes has not suffered an injury yet because of the amount of minutes that man plays at the same tempo and level as well. The running he does is unbelievable. I just cannot believe he managed to stay injury free. And he's already back in the Portugal squad playing 90 minutes for Portugal in the Euros. He'll play every minute of every game that Portugal managed to play. So and if they make it to the final, then he's played a remarkable amount of games. So I do think that no matter the result of the Europa League final, whether they won or they did lose, I think that Solskjaer was ready to commit to 3 or 4 signings because, as we saw in that Europa League final, that he didn't trust anyone off the bench, which is why he took 100 minutes to make a substitution when you could. I was there. You could literally see every player just absolutely shattered. They were shattered going into extra time, and that's when they needed a bit more life. And I was shocked to not see Ahmad come on from the bench for Rashford, and then Pogba went off as well. So there's definitely a squad depth issue. Solskjaer knows that, and he just needs the backing of the board, which he says he has. So whether they actually mean backing verbally or financially, we're yet to see. But that's something that will pan out over these next few months. And like Akash said earlier about United on working on multiple deals this summer, that's something that's a big change in their policy rather than putting all their eggs in one basket like they did with Sancho last year and then hurrying on deadline day to find a striker, to find a right back, to find a right winger. And, they only got Cavani and Donny van de Beek in the end. And obviously they got Pellistri and Ahmad as well, who I think are definitely for the future.
Yeah, Brad, I'm very happy that you think that. The fact that possibly United will actually still make 3 or 4 signings during this summer. I mean, that would be amazing. That's the best case scenario for me. It would make a good amount of signings because, it was so obvious, as you said, we didn't have the depth against Villarreal. We didn't make 5 subs. We didn't even make, any subs in the 90 minutes, which is crazy. And it was frustrating to watch. But that issue probably does come from the board, the fact that the manager doesn't trust anyone basically outside of the starting 11 players. And Akash, I'm going to ask you about this as well. So do you think, well, firstly, are you over the heartbreak of coming runner-up to Villarreal in the Europa League? Because I'm not. I am still annoyed about it. I'm just angry. The tactics were all off. And I'd also like to hear, where do we go from here? How many signings do you think we'll make during this summer window?
Am I audible, Robbie?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
So I would just like to say that I'm definitely not over that final. When you look back, it wasn't easy to watch. I think United were too used to Pogba playing on the left and suddenly shifting to a midfield too. It just looked all. It didn't look like a well prepared match. I don't think the squad was well prepared. I think Villarreal did their studying really well. I think they actually analyzed United well. They knew where to hit them. They were so physical. I think United were kind of shocked at the physicality of the game. I think it took them some time to adjust to the game. And Villarreal, I think they started strong. And then after that, United just seemed to have lost their way even after equalizing. They should have made the most of the opportunities that they had. But I was a little upset because I thought United's approach to that game was extremely casual. It didn't seem like a Europa League final preparation from Manchester United. They looked so much better in other games, but that game just looked like United wanted to wing it, and they just couldn't. And I think a lot of blame went towards David De Gea. Uh, Even though I feel, I'm a huge fan of his, I won't be defending him solely based on that basis. But I don't think that United should be blaming him. United fans should be blaming him, considering that this squad is good enough to get the result over the line within the 90 minutes. And especially against a Villarreal side that didn't even finish in the Champions League. I think they finished seventh, which is a which is extremely embarrassing for United. It's when you actually think about it, they should have easily got the positive result that they wanted. But but credit to Villarreal, credit to Emery and their players. I think they deserved the result that night. I don't think Manchester United fans could complain about a lot of things because we could see the display. It wasn't simply to the levels that Manchester United fans expected. And I think that's where a lot of fans are disappointed, Robbie and Brad, because I'll tell you why. I think we saw Manchester United play so well for majority of the seasons. Obviously, there were a few results which were absolutely shocking, like the Sheffield United, or the performance against Crystal Palace, or the one against Spurs. But I think majority of the games Manchester United really played well. And but then again, when it actually matters, the players seem to have a mental block to perform in the big games. And I don't know what this is, but it seems to be like a mentality issue and a lack of experience, which doesn't allow United to succeed if Plan A doesn't work. So it's a little concerning on that front. Yeah, but transfers, I expect at least 3 to 4 signings coming in. That's just my personal feeling.
Yeah, and just to finish off, Brad, I'd like to hear, obviously in the window, give me three names of players that you'd like to come to United over the summer. And guys in the comments, you can get involved as well. Give us three names, 3 or 4 names of players that Man United need to sign during the summer. And Brad, you can obviously supply us with names that you think will happen during the summer.
I'm confident about Jadon Sancho coming to Manchester United this season. I do think that's going to be done. At the end, I do feel like it's a matter of time and a matter of when, not if, he signs for Manchester United. And Varane, I just think is a difficult scenario because Real Madrid are not easy to negotiate with at all. Ramos in earlier years has used Manchester United for an improved contract. And probably Varane won't like the fact that Alaba has joined the team and he's on a much better contract than Varane is. So that's the issue that's going on there. And whether Real Madrid offer him a new contract it wouldn't surprise me if that's what happens this season. If Varane gets an improved deal and stays at Real Madrid, that wouldn't surprise me. But then again, Real Madrid are rumored to be opening to selling offloading some of their players. So I think that one's all up in the air at the minute. And then I think it's going to be Heaton. Heaton will be the third signing. Unfortunately, is not what you want to hear. Not what many United fans want to hear. I think it's going to be Heaton, a centre back, and Sancho, maybe a few youngsters from out of nowhere. But I don't think there's going to be much more than that.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't want to hear Tom Heaton's name involved in there. I thought that would be like your fourth, but it is what it is. We do need backup. If De Gea will move on during this summer. Akash, I'd love to hear finally, just before we log off, give me 3 or 4 names of players that you think will sign during this summer window.
I think Jadon Sancho, like Brad mentioned, is like a primary target for the window. As per my opinion, I think that is likely to happen. I think the purchase of that player is likely to set aside the budget for the rest of the targets and possible sales. I do feel that United will be pushing for 3 signings plus Heaton. I don't think Heaton is involved in those 3 signings. I personally feel he'll be like the part of the total 4. I do feel that Trippier is one uh, that could actually happen. United will push it over the line. They want backup for Van Bissaka. And I think a lot will also depend on Paul Pogba's future. I think United will obviously try to renew his contract. They will obviously be trying to set aside some budget for his contract renewal. But if that does not happen, and if Paul Pogba is sold in the summer, then I think United could be in for another midfielder as well. Maybe Van de Beek is also going to talk to the club about his future. I hope he stays. I think it is likely that he will stay, but I did read reports where it was mentioned that Van der Beek would likely discuss his future under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and at Manchester United. And I do feel that there are going to be 2-3 purchases, but it's all up in the air. I think United need to concentrate on getting Sancho in first. I think he's such a player that can fit in well on the left as well as on the right. So just get him in. It's been long overdue, and I think we can sign Trippier after that, and then let the Euros commence and sort that rest of the squad after that.
Yeah, Akash. I mean, I can't wait for your announcement of Sancho because you've been covering this for so long, and I just want it to be over and done with. I just want to get him. It's taking so long, over a year now. It's been going on for, and I'm just ready for him to actually wear a United shirt. But guys, thanks very much for joining me. You're always welcome on the shows. United Link, Akash, you're obviously on every second Sunday. But Brad, I mean, thanks very much for coming on, mate.
No worries. Excellent to be here.
Thank you so much, Robbie, for inviting us. I think it was a great chat for whoever tuned in. It'll be great to share my thoughts on a every second Sunday, sharing the latest developments or and what's happening in the Manchester United world. But thank you so much.